Let me turn off this music. How are you?
I'm doing good, Wood. How are you?
Very good, very good. Let me try to also spotlight you. Yes, there you are. So where are you from?
I'm from Bangalore, India.
Ah, nice. So what time is it at your place? In the evening already?
We are just about 30 seconds from 6 p.m.
Great. Well, do you have a presentation with you?
Yeah, I do. I do have. Let me pull that up.
So you're going to talk about influence of Internet of Things on sustainable building management. Um, yes, there it is.
All right. So my screen should be up.
Yes, it is. It is. Influence of IoT, I see, from IQ Next. So I would like to give you our stage, and when you finish your presentation, I will be back and ask you some questions. Is that okay for you?
Perfect.
Okay, well, if you're ready to go, let's go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Uta. And thank you for the opportunity of presenting in this platform. Fantastic chance of talking about buildings and sustainability. Hi all. My name is Vishal Jain. I'm the co-founder and CEO of IQ Next. Today, I'm going to be talking about the influence of IoT on sustainability and buildings. So this is a very passionate topic for us. Same for other people from other companies as well. But again, sustainability has been a topic that has been of intense debate for the last couple of decades at least. But as some of you will, or at least most of you will agree that it's not a debate anymore. We are at a very crucial juncture, and buildings is a very important role in how the sustainability challenge is going to be addressed in the next 2 to 3 decades, because buildings are an important contributor to the global carbon emission. So we are doing our bit of using IoT. So today I'm going to take an opportunity of talking about how IoT is can play an influential role in addressing sustainability in the building industry. So I want to start with the first and the biggest challenge in the building industry is about silos, which is what we call as the starting point challenge for buildings. Now, in the lifespan of any building, buildings are uh, typically lasting 5 decades, 6 decades, probably longer. So it's a product. So building as a product is a product that it has a long life cycle. So we are dealing with something that lasts for such a long time, and it is an intensely complex product, I would say, because a typical building is occupied by hundreds and thousands of people day in, day out, spending 70-80% of their times within an indoor space of any building for that matter. Now, when these buildings are constructed, at least the existing buildings, they are designed by different outlooks with different specifications, technology, service vendors. So when these buildings are designed, they're designed with certain systems for certain outcomes. So for example, an HVAC system is designed to provide the necessary comfort temperature for its occupants. But what happens is, but when these systems are designed with different people, different outlooks, these silos tends to get baked into the buildings, and they tend to last for a very, very long time. So that is the starting point of where buildings tend to have a challenging situation. Again, keeping in mind at the same time the life cycle of a building, which is a long duration. So what we see is that these buildings then, although the community is working very hard to remove some of these challenges, but these challenges are typically again solved by certain point solutions. So for example, an HVAC solution tends to get a little bit better to solve the HVAC problem. So now when some problem, let's say on HVAC as an example, gets solved, but it gets solved with the compromise on another challenge altogether. So there's always this issue of a balance that has to be brought out. So point challenges addresses certain individual problems, but unfortunately tends to create new silos. So we believe that the silo problem has to be solved in order for buildings to be truly sustainable. And that is where the starting point of the challenge solution would come in, is how do we solve these silos in an operational buildings or a portfolio of buildings. Now, taking the discussion forward, I would like to talk a little bit about the hardware status quo that exists in buildings today. Some of you would have seen this image, complex set of systems designed by legacy solutions, designed by legacy companies, and buildings have not changed since the 70s or the 80s. Again, that's because the building solutions are, even to a large extent, even today, are a hardware first approach. So a part of part of it lies from the fact that a number of these companies have to sell these expensive hardware, and which is where the business for them exists. So on top of that hardware, typically, there is a legacy or a baby software attached to certain hardwares, and these hardwares are now managed by certain legacy softwares which are very hard to manage. So when some of you have seen, if some of you have seen some of those softwares, you feel like you're transported back to the 90s and 80s, and today even buildings are being used, such systems are being used in the buildings for managing the entire property. So what we want to bring out is highlight the solution is the unchanged role of software in buildings has remained largely unchanged. So that, again, we are living in an era of advanced softwares. We are living in an era where in the last 2 decades, we've seen leaps and bounds improvement of how software can play a role in different aspects of the day-to-day life. But unfortunately, it's very hard to talk about buildings. And that's where the nexus of hardware and a little bit of software that's coming in with unchanged role of softwares. And this is where we are looking at a software first approach of using IoT for sustainable buildings. So what we mean by that? So when we talk about software first using IoT, we're talking about a a scenario or an ecosystem where you are looking at decoupling the hardware from the software of the conventional systems. So when this decoupling happens, we have a situation where the data gets centralized, and you are able to now process this data at a cloud level. So we're creating an horizontal layer by collecting data from a number of systems. When I say systems, it is devices, assets, processes in the building, people working on those systems, working on those processes, from all your buildings coming together at a central level. So now you have a situation where the hardware is collecting your data. There are certain processes in place to manage your day-to-day operations, but the data is now collected at a centralized level. So when you talk about IoT, there's obviously a cloud layer to it. And when the data gets processed at the cloud level, you are able to now work and operate on your buildings at a portfolio level. So this was very difficult when you had those legacy systems, when you're working on the desktop-based systems. In those situations, one had to deal with a reactive scenario, because all these systems were in a local setup. But when you're talking about IoT, when you're collecting data from devices, processing at the cloud level, you have created a brilliantly new opportunity where management of buildings can happen at a portfolio level. Now, what does that mean? So when you are working at a portfolio level, you are creating an opportunity for creating cross-pollination of data in near real time for action. So let's give you an example. So when you have HVAC systems, certain HVAC systems use occupancy data from sensors to manage those HVAC systems. Now, why can't that same occupancy data could be shared to, let's say, for a meeting room booking system for giving your real-time status of, the occupancy status of those meetings, so that the occupants who are looking for meeting rooms do get that data. But in today's scenario, what happens is, when people are working in silos, the occupancy data of HVAC is used by the occupancy system, and then another vendor comes in, and if the operator requires occupancy data for meeting rooms, they put in another sensor. Now, by bringing in this horizontal layer, you're talking about a cross-pollination of data. You're talking about a immediate real-time collaboration of information across different applications. Now, by doing that, you're bringing in various stakeholders to collaborate on a single plane platform. So now you are getting, the HVAC technician who has to work on a fixing of a duct, who is interested on fixing the duct as quickly as possible, whereas the facility manager is interested in minimizing the hot cold calls. Whereas at the same time, the sustainability manager wants to know how they could reduce the energy consumption from such systems. So how do you bring all of these different stakeholders onto a single platform and provide the right information so that you're working in near real time scenario? So the idea is that when you bring operating at the cloud, we are creating and deploying applications that is used by stakeholders across the life cycle of these buildings. So when we were looking at how do we think of building as a product that lasts for multi-decades and provide a solution for different stakeholders across these life cycle of the building. And as the building ages, the product doesn't become redundant. So now, keeping that idea in mind, you have to think about how you can think of applications which will be required for different stakeholders across that life cycle, and how do you deploy those applications in a scalable manner. So the idea is to bring that and be scalable technically, and to be able to bring those necessary applications as the building life cycle progresses. So IoT provides proactive measures on efficiency and sustainability optimizations. Now, so you're collecting a lot of information. So the idea is, how do you bring right data to the right person at the right time? So the examples of, the HVAC technician who's fixing your ducting systems, to facility managers who are looking at minimizing their hot cold calls, to the sustainability manager trying to see how they could reduce the energy consumption proactively. Well, you obviously have various other stakeholders who could come in as well. So the idea is to leverage the technology, leverage your cloud, and to be able to bring the right data to the right person at the right time. So what we're doing here at IQ Next is we're trying to do this with a vision of creating a centrally managed building operations, so that we can unify devices, people, processes in real time across portfolio. So we are looking at an idea where we are able to bring all this information in near real time, and to be able to build these applications so that there is a unified way of managing buildings, so that they are continuously efficient and they are continuously sustainable. So I'd like to close here with the idea that sustainability in the building industry is not a one-time effort, but it is a continuous process. So for us, the idea is that you can't just bring in an energy efficient system and plug it in there at one time while the building is built and forget about it. No, that sustainability will not work that way. It has to be a continuous process, and you need the right tools and the right applications so that it can progress scalably along the life cycle of the building. And hence we strongly believe in the idea of continuous process. So we are IQ Next. My name is Vishan Jain, co-founder, CEO of IQ Next. And with that, I'd like to close my presentation here.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. So, in this whole IoT space and the smart building space, do you see a lot is happening right now in India?
Well, quite a bit. So we are, at the forefront of, bringing such ideas to the industry. We've had good success across, different set of customers. Sustainability is quite an well, I would actually, truth be told, it's now driven as a business idea rather than just a
Nice to have.
nice to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we are the the interesting thing we've seen of late is the idea that has now trickled down to the people who are operating the buildings. Now the role that they play is obviously very important, but their importance has now suddenly become and they were quite aware because it's a business idea. The people are now brought in at the forefront and talking to people like us to solve their sustainability
Cool.
challenges.
Yeah, very interesting. And IQ Next, you're from India, but are you also working in different kind of countries already?
No, presently we are based out of India, but we do have aspirations to put our solutions to the global market.
So where do you want to go first?
Wherever a customer takes us.
That's a smart answer. Well, thank you very much. Great to have you with us today. Enjoy your evening, of course,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's
Thank
evening
you,
in India
Walter.
already,
Thank you,
and
Walter. Yeah,
hope to see you again soon.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, and we really appreciate the opportunity and the platform that you've created. Because it gives us opportunity for folks like us to talk to a global audience.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Of
thank you,
course,
Walter.
these videos will be downloaded and put on YouTube as well, and then we're going to push them even further. So thank you for being with us, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.